And we are live, Wrestle Purist Live, hosted by myself and Ivar of Wrestle Purist. And today we are going to get into a bit of a Raw review. We're going to recap Raw. We're going to look at NXT later on tonight. We're going to talk these WWE Tryouts and a few other little bits of news that has been going on the past 24 hours or so. First things first, please like, subscribe, super chat any questions, any takes, anything like that you want to get into us, and we'll read them out. And please turn on the post notifications. Always appreciated. Hope everyone is doing good. Starting with my fellow co-host, Ibu. How you doing on this fine Tuesday afternoon?
I feel terrible.
Oh no. Oh no.
I'm back to not sleeping well. You know, I ate some Popeyes and now I feel kind of sick. You know, I feel kind of sick. But that notwithstanding, I'm doing all right. You know, I've decided to go to Queens, New York tomorrow. And
Grand Slam.
Yeah,
Hangman is coming.
This is becoming a yearly trend where it's like, do I want to go to Queens? I really don't. But then it's like, And this year it's like, you know, man, Eddie Kingston. You know, I gotta see that. You know, I gotta see that. I do have to see that. So
it was always going to be the case. I never really doubted it.
So you didn't think that there was a chance I was going to skip this?
Nah, not really. Like what you were saying like last week, like, you know, it's traveling, it's effort, it's just very much just the mundane things that come with going to an event, you know.
That like and the day of you're like, fuck it.
Someone somewhere in that company was eventually going to ask you if you was coming, knowing that you're from New York, and it was always going to lead to one thing leads to another. And you're bad at saying no. From what I've heard and experiences, you know, you've been talked into staying for Ring of Honor tapings and everything. Yes. So I think it'd be pretty easy for someone from AEW to talk you into visiting Arthur Ashe for a Grand Slam with Eddie Kingston World Title match on it. You know,
it was a lot of, hey, you're gonna be in Queens? No, why? And it's like, you know how that's gonna end. You know, it's like you give them the excuse, you know, tickets, and they're like, oh, we can take care of that for you. And you're like, you know, this and that. And it's like, oh, we can just set you up here. And it's like, fuck. All right, I'll go. You know, much appreciation to AEW for being accommodating. I will be there. And I'm looking forward to watching Eddie Kingston. You know what I might do this year, though, admittedly, to be honest with you? I might not stay for Rampage, to be honest. To beat the traffic. You don't believe that either? You don't think
no, it depends. It depends who you sat by and around. You know?
They won't let me go.
Oh, where are you going?
Come on. You know?
Okay. You know,
it's like, what do y'all got left? It's like, come on, you know, Christian and Darby. You know, I'm like, I end up there till 12:30. I'm like, fuck. God damn. Oh man.
All right, let's get into the pod. We'll talk Raw first. Raw opened up with a Cody Rhodes in-ring promo, quickly interrupted by Dominic Mysterio. Dominic Mysterio hilariously let us all know that Rhea Ripley is she's out of action this week. You know, she was injured last week by Nia Jax, and Dominic's saying how, you know, Jey Uso is going to join the Judgment Day, and it seems like today is the day. Well, last night was the night where, you know, we did eventually get Jey's decision, and kind of a lot of the episode was built around that. Like, that was the theme of Monday Night Raw last night. So, what's Jey's decision going to be? Pretty obvious decision that he was going to make, you know, but they got some hours TV out of it, I suppose. But yeah, this eventually leads into Cody Rhodes, Dominic Mysterio. Very quick, made quick work. You know, made quick work of Dominic Mysterio, Cody Rhodes did. And then after this, we get the thing that people were most talking about, which was the Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn in-ring promo. And as many of you know, Cody Rhodes is the plug. He is the plug that brought Jey Uso over to Raw. And as many people may remember, on Jey Uso's first episode on Raw recently, him and Sami Zayn reunited, so they're all on good terms. You know, everyone's on good terms, those two. And but Kevin Owens has been conflicted about it, and he basically just questioned Cody about it. You know, wondering if he deserves a second chance. Can he trust him, etc., etc.? Because he doesn't right now. Cody Rhodes thinks he does deserve a second chance. He's one of the best in the world, and he can prove himself, etc., etc. And I think I'm not going out on a limb here by saying I think you like this kind of thing because you like the whole Jey Uso, can you trust him, can't you trust him, which of course is all rooted in his involvement in the bloodline, and you've got these main event characters kind of debating over it, and it could lead into all these cool different things. So, did you like this at the start of the show, Bill?
Yeah, I did. And you'd be correct. The bottom line is it's opened up a new set of subplots, and these subplots take these characters in different directions that, in some cases, put them at odds with each other. And so by this one move, just moving Jay to Raw and handling it logically from a narrative standpoint, you've created like a multitude of television matches for the next few weeks. And so, kind of broadly speaking, when I look at Raw, right, there's some weeks where I think the show's okay, some weeks where I think the show's quite good, right? And it varies depending, frankly, on like the match quality. Like on a week that has a Gunther in the ring and stuff like that, I tend to enjoy those Raws more than a Raw that doesn't have Gunther in the ring. But whether a show is like okay, kind of bad or like very good, what every single episode's been having is this very clear through line of like just plotting. Like it's very clear like that they have a set direction that they're trying to get to, and it appears like it's all going to converge and climax at Survivor Series with Judgment Day probably in a War Games match. The thing is, they're taking their time very like meticulously week to week from September like now to then to progress these things. And some weeks they don't progress as much as others, but there is a progression, and you're seeing it. So yeah, I do enjoy this stuff. I like that. Like Kevin Owens is basically like, look, I don't fuck with him, but I trust you and Sammy. So hopefully you guys are right, and we shall see if they're right. That's still the mystery. I mean, Jay, he did kind of, hand wave the Judgment Day at the end of the show. But yeah,
Kind of. It's pretty clear to me, but yeah, I think one of the themes of this whole Jey Uso thing since becoming a Raw superstar has been it just feels logical, And
Yeah.
of course, Kevin Owens has a problem. Sami Zayn's always had a soft spot for Jey, and they were very close once upon a time. Um, the Cody wrinkle is probably because he's like the least connected,
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, Jey Uso isn't who cost Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania or anything, so we wouldn't have any grudge either. So it's just logical, makes sense, and with the involvement of top stars, it makes it very, very interesting. So,
Mhm.
um,
Who do you
you know,
think's gonna be the War Games teams if it's a 5-on-5?
uh, hmm, probably the Judgment Day against the Four Pillars of Raw. So that would be Seth, Cody, Kevin, Sammy, and I guess Jay. If they do a 5-on-5, it just depends. It depends if they do
So
a
then,
4-on-4, 5-on-5, or you could
so
if they do the 4-on-4, you could swap Seth out for Jay. You know.
if they did a 5-on-5, I could see them. Do you remember on SmackDown how they had like the Judgment Day recruiting Jimmy? What what if they had an Uso on each corner?
Bro, I don't think that's completely out of the question
That's what I'm
because you would
saying.
have. Okay,
I
so
think
it'd be Priest, Balor, Dom, JD, and Jimmy
yes,
versus Cody, KO, Sammy,
Seth and Jay.
Seth, and Jay.
You get
Or
that. You
you
get that.
could
Go ahead.
do Drew instead of Jimmy on the heel side.
You could.
Um, I don't know. I think it will definitely involve like Sammy, KO, Cody though.
Of course, of course, of
I think
course.
those will be like the root of the War Games matches show.
And
So
and you would hope that like the climax of the match is not only that Judgment Day is defeated, but that like maybe somehow some way in the post match we finally get the payoff to like this Damian Priest and Finn Balor tension. I don't know what that could be post match, whether it just be like maybe one of them eats the pin and it gets kicked out when the match is over, that type of thing. So
Someone said Punk in the chat. Punk in War Games making his big return would be fucking hilarious. Anyway, elsewhere on Raw, what else? We had a recap of the Women's World Title match. But obviously Nia Jax got involved, but that was just a replay. Kofi Kingston versus Ivar. A lot of rave reviews on this. They went with the work rate route with this one. They were kind of allowed to get the shit off. Big man versus small man.
Kind of hilarious.
And, this was pretty good, man. This was pretty good. Like I said, everyone's been pretty complimentary of this match and good work rate match at the in the starting hour. No complaints, Ibu. No complaints.
If I was
a big moonsault via Ivar, Good
if
stuff.
I was like locked in and invested in these people, I'd probably be really huge on this match, to be honest. Because frankly, when the graphic came up of Kofi and Ivar, I'm already kind of zoned out, half paying attention. You know what I mean? It's like, it's like whatever, right? And then like you start hearing the heat in the background of your TV, right? You're like, oh shit, this is heated. And you start looking a little bit. They're doing moonsaults and big kickouts and stuff on the outside. I'm like, oh, they're like going hard right now. And yeah, these guys worked their asses off. This is supposed to be a 2 out of 3 falls match. And that's probably why they didn't change the amount of time this was given. I think that's what happened here. Like, this is supposed to be a big, expansive, epic tag match. And then Eric isn't cleared. I think he has COVID, to be honest with you. But yeah, and so they just said, all right, Kofi, just have fun. And this was produced by P.E. Williams, Monty of TNA fame, and Mr. Canadian Destroyer himself. And yeah, they had a good match. They had a very good match.
Yeah, it was a good time. Like I said, everyone seemed pretty happy with it, and it's cool to see Kofi go out there and kind of do his thing, especially when he's given time and just the freedom to do so. With a nice chunk of time that this match was given. We had some more Ricochet, Shinsuke stuff. Of course, Ricochet has been kind of like on the fringes of this Seth Rollins Nakamura feud. He's offered to help out Seth Rollins with, protecting him from Shinsuke and any like jump attacks or anything like that. He's faced Shinsuke and he's facing him again here. And this one ends in a DQ. The steel chair gets involved. Nakamura tries to swing the steel chair at Ricochet, but he misses. And then is it Ricochet that gets DQ'd?
It might have been.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Ricochet grabs the chair and hits Nakamura with it.
Yeah,
and that's when the bell goes, and then it continues, and then it gets switched around, and Nakamura puts the hurt on Ricochet's leg. He wraps him around the post, hits him with the chair and stuff like that.
Yep.
And obviously Ricochet's not very happy, but Ricochet, Shinsuke Nakamura in the world title picture. Ibu, do you think this is good stuff or what?
Shinsuke Nakamura does nothing for me as a worker these days, and so this match was just kind of there. What I'm more keying in on are the finishes, because if you notice, Monty, they're non-committal in pinning Ricochet, and that tells me that it's because he's going to be in the mix of these matches in terms of the fast lane match. I think this is going to be a triple threat, because if it was just heating up Nakamura to then get back to Seth Rollins, he would just pin Ricochet, because that's just what conventional wisdom would suggest, and that's also how WWE books when they need to. But here they're not pinning Ricochet, and he's also kind of in the mix, fighting with Shinsuke and stuff like that. And they did this thing, like I want to say a week ago or 2 weeks ago, where he basically was telling Seth, like, hey man, like I have your back if you want me to, like you don't have to push yourself while you have this injury. And like Seth didn't react positively to this. He was just kind of like, I'm good, bro. Like what? Like he almost like he was almost distrustful of Ricochet and thought he had an ulterior motive for why he wanted to protect him so much. So I think that's going to come into a head in the next few weeks, and they're going to try to work this around to where this leads to a World Heavyweight Championship match that involves all three men. I don't think Ricochet is inserted because they're afraid of paying somebody. I think he's literally inserted, Monty, quite frankly, to just make the match better. I think it's one of those things where they're like, we want to keep Ricochet in the mix. He just faced Logan Paul, but we don't have faith in a second Nakamura-Rollins match. And Ricochet being in the match can, like, guaranteed make it a more, in theory, more exciting, more, acceptable
dynamic,
dynamic. Yeah, right.
Yeah, man. I hear where you're coming from with most of it anyway. So Yeah, Ricochet. Seth Rollins is. Wait, Seth Rollins is. I think he's been pretty public with it recently that he wants to work with Ricochet. So, I don't think you're too far off, to be honest. But yeah, after all this, Seth Rollins been trying to get. He's been trying to get his hands on Shinsuke for a minute now, and he just can't do it, including after this match. But he did eventually, and they brawl and blah blah blah. Seth Rollins is not. He's fired up. He was fired up quite a lot last night. He was doing a lot of yelling, saying he don't need referees, saying he don't need this, he don't need that, he don't need help. But yeah, he's very gotten to, and that's the point of the story. And Shinsuke's got in his head, and he's coming off on one. What else have we got? Chelsea Green, Piper Niven, Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler versus Chelsea Green, Piper Niven ends in a no contest. Backstage with Adam Pearce and Chad Gable. Chad Gable wants to know how he can earn another title shot, and he is interrupted by the big man, Bronson Reed, who basically tells him that he can't just jump the line and he has to earn his shot and blah, blah, blah. And that eventually leads into a match between the two of them. And Bronson Reed defeated our boy, Chad Gable, Ivar. And you could imagine that I wasn't too happy about this.
Yeah, if it very clearly seems like they've decided Gable's the long-term destination for Gunther, but we are going to suspend the plans and delay him so that we can have other people thrown at Gunther. Which, in theory, on paper, I guess is a sound plan. New Japan does this type of stuff all the time, but especially for us, we're big Gable guys. It's already like, come on. And then it's like the guy he loses to is someone who, not necessarily within your favor, Monty. So it's not the most ideal thing in the world. Chad Gable losing to Bronson Reed. My bigger thing about this, because it looks like they're holding back Gable to do a Ciampa title defense, and I'm not going to turn down Ciampa versus Gunther. Their match at NXT 2 years ago was exceptional. The thing is, my only thing, and it's more of a paranoia based concern, is just yeah, you can say, all right, well, they're just delaying Gable to have his big match, at a bigger show. But what's to say on any given week that an 80-year-old senile man just opens the Raw document and he's like, let's just do something else. You know what I mean? And there's always that fear.
Yeah.
So it's always that fear that they're not going to pay this off because of that. And it's funny, Monty. Just last night on Twitter, it was a friend of the channel, Jenny Omega, who pointed out, like, not everything in wrestling needs to be this like agonizingly long journey full of like a bunch of setbacks and stuff. Sometimes you can just pay things off and make people happy. But yeah, they're getting more mid-carders on the mix. They want to use their guys. And Triple H remains super committed to keeping Bronson in the mix, and he loves Ciampa, of course. And so it looks like they're both probably going to get some shots at Gunther before Chad Gable ultimately beats him. Bronson could be a fine TV match for Gunther. Ciampa should be the Fastlane match, and we could get to Gable hopefully at Survivor Series. So we'll see how this goes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ciampa basically called his shot at Gunther as well, so that he's got something that he wants, etc., etc. And yeah, it seems like that's definitely a direction they're going in, especially with Ciampa pretty imminently soon. What else? We're backstage with Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and Jey Uso. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are going back and forth about Jey Uso. Can they trust him? Can they not trust him? Kevin Owens is obviously arguing the case that they can't. Sami Zayn is obviously arguing the case that they can. Jey Uso overhears this and he basically says to Kevin Owens, "You got something to say it to my face." Kevin Owens tells him, "Okay, I will say it to your face. I don't trust you, and I think it's a matter of time before you join the Judgment Day because you can't do anything by yourself." And them two go back and forth. Sami Zayn managed to calm him down, though. Manages to calm him down. Kevin Owens takes a walk, goes and waits in the car for Sami because he'll be getting out of here. And Sami just asks Jey Uso to be patient, and he just seems like It just makes me laugh how, like, in kayfabe, we're all supposed to like buy into the fact that like Jey Uso may join the Judgment Day, but still, it's good character stuff, I guess, for a little 30-second segment. We had a Becky Lynch in-ring promo where she basically called for an open challenge against her NXT title, which was then answered by Natalya. They had a nice little match, very mechanically sound, and it was pretty short though. It was pretty short. I guess it was as expected. People know that. I'm sure Becky Lynch and Natalia could have had like a pretty good match, pretty similar to like what Rhea and Natalia had done a couple of months ago. But this was nice for what it was, but it was very short, wasn't it, Ivar?
I guess. I don't know what to say about this. I don't have a problem with Natalia. I think Becky Lynch is a star. And to be completely frank, I fast forwarded this.
Just never been in the allegations. You didn't even have to add that on. You could have easily just got away with just not saying it. This is why you don't beat the allegations, bro. Just misogynistic, and I'm trying now. I'm trying. This is what I put up with, audience. Yeah. Backstage with Adam Pearce and Dragon Lee. I did forget to mention Dragon Lee was in the crowd for the Dominic Mysterio match, and he's going to be facing Dominic Mysterio next week for the North American title, I believe, which is hilarious because he just lost the number one contenders match for the title. But I'm going to overlook it because we get to see Dragon Lee
on Raw. Like, so fuck it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's it's funny, Monty. Someone in our chat said earlier, like, what if Dragon Lee was on the babyface team in War Games?
I can raise a toast to that,
Could you? Monty's the guy said, like, forget Seth. What about Dragon Lee in Seth's spot? I'm not gonna turn that one down. I'm a fan of Dragon Lee. I think he's a money signing for the company. He's an absolute stud. He's 27. Great. I think him and Dominic, I said the minute they started putting them in a program, that needed to be a thing where you get him some main roster exposure. So I'm happy that they're doing that. I think next Monday is a big opportunity for him. Hopefully that like is set up a certain way I hope that's set up in a way that gets him over. Like it's not just some like 4-minute nothing shit. I want that to actually be like a match where he basically empties the clip and like shows the main roster like crowd like his whole moveset, so to speak. I need everything. I need the fucking Tiger Driver, the sit out power bomb. I need I just need everything. The double stomp, the dive, that really cool dive that he does. And so that's just kind of where I'm at with it. I just want that to be used really productively in the sense that like they see that as an opportunity to get Dragon Lee over. That's what that should be. And so hopefully that happens. And I'm genuinely, that's going to be one of the more intriguing matches on TV for next week for wrestling, in my opinion. Because they have a chance to make it something. And maybe they don't, but hopefully they do.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's a big opportunity in front of a big audience for Dragon Lee. And as you said, Dragon Lee is a stud. So in that sense, it could be very, very interesting. It could be very much a wild, here he is part. But we'll see. It's Dominic Mysterio on the other side of the ring. So, it's that like he's got the world's greatest base in the world opposite him. But, I'm sure it'll have some decent heat and stuff like that. So
I will say the most perfect and ideal situation here would have been if this was on SmackDown with Rey Mysterio.
Well, it's not.
Yeah, but we'll
Tommaso Ciampa defeats Giovanni Vinci. Giovanni Vinci suffers another pinfall loss. Or was this a... No, this was he tapped out on this one. Either way, Vinci loses again. And Kaiser does not. He comes to the top of the ramp and he does not look impressed. And he continues his thread that has been on and off for a while now, where the other Imperium members just don't seem too impressed with Giovanni Vinci. But
if you've noticed, Monty,
I have. I know where this is going. I've definitely noticed this. I almost said it without, but go ahead. Continue your point, Ivar.
When a certain man is available to go over these Raw scripts, he always has to kind of fit in, like, make sure they look at the bald one, just disapprovingly, and tease something there. And every time Vince is away, Hunter's like, fuck this plot thread, like fuck. Every time Vince is away, Hunter's putting Imperium in trios matches and shit where they look cool and good. They're like moving as a unit, They're doing double team moves and triple team moves. Every time Vince is looking over Raw, Vinci has to lose, and Gunther has to look at him and be like, "You disgrace! What's wrong with you?" Ah!
Yeah, it's like you don't just eat the pin. Like he eats pins anyway on the main roster. It's not that you don't just eat the pin. He eats the pin, and the rest of Imperium like seem severely like mad at him, disapproving of him, looking
He has
down
his
on
head down.
him, weird looks, and all this sort of stuff. So
He has his head down, looking down. They make it clear, like the hierarchy is that he's like, it's not like Gunther above the two equal tag guys. It's like he's the bottom, then Kaiser, then Gunther. Uh, I'm just fascinated with what is Vince's problem with this guy. Like, I want to know what the beef is, But yeah, Ciampa's heading towards Gunther. He's gonna face Kaiser next week. He's gonna beat him, and then you would assume, or you would hope that that's the pay-per-view match. I hope that that's a pay-per-view match and you don't do it on TV because that's a guaranteed great one. And so you'd like more guaranteed rate matches on TV.
We've got an interview with Seth Rollins with Byron Saxton, and basically Seth is just on one. He's fired up, and he has a light bulb moment. He realizes that Shinsuke Nakamura wants to do this rematch with Seth on his terms, and Seth, I guess you could question his judgment on this one, but he tells Nakamura that he can name the time, the place, and the stipulation if he wants one. So we'll have to wait and see what sort of game Shinsuke wants to play, and if we're going to get a good stipulation, because every time when I hear stipulation now, it don't excite me as much either. Sometimes I end up just rolling my eyes at it, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what stipulation they do for this one.
For Seth and Nakamura?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't know. I
don't know. And let's talk about the main event. Drew McIntyre defeats Jey Uso. Of course, as I mentioned at the top of the show, there's this hanging cloud over this episode of Raw. Like, is Jey gonna join the Judgment Day? Is he gonna make his decision? The Judgment Day have made it clear to him that he has to make his decision tonight. And but anyway, he has this match booked with Drew McIntyre, which was set up last week when they bumped into each other backstage. And they're having a pretty good match, But then Judgment Day come to the top of the ramp and slowly start making their way to the ring. And they're under the guise of they're supporting Jey Uso. They're still trying to convince him to the last minute. The match goes on, and Judgment Day even tried to get involved on Jey's behalf. And they're trying to. There was also a time towards the end of the match for the finish. Basically, Jey Uso's in the corner. The Judgment Day are all kind of around him on the outside, trying to hype him up. Jey Uso gets to his feet, looks at Damian Priest, who gets up onto the apron. They fist bump, putting in like the idea that maybe he's joining the Judgment Day, especially after the interferences throughout the match. And then as he's about to walk away from the corner, he super kicks all of them. He super kicks Damian Priest, who's on the apron. Finn Balor gets up on the apron just to get super kicked back down again. And the same thing happens to Dominic Mysterio. But, of course, heavily distracted Jey Uso is by all of this. Drew McIntyre absolutely takes his head off with a Claymore and then just pins him 1, 2, 3. Judgment Day aren't happy at all because Jey Uso's rejected them. They're all beating the hell out of Jey Uso in the middle of the ring as Drew McIntyre's walking off at the ramp. Drew McIntyre turns around, looks back, looks a bit conflicted, don't know what to do. Of course, they're planting more seeds for his heel turn. He walks a bit further up the ramp, considers going back down again. It looks like maybe he's going to make the save, but before that happens, adrenaline is in my soul. And Cody Rhodes is making his way to the ring, and Cody Rhodes makes the save. And Drew had a choice, much like Jey did, but Drew didn't make his decision. And seems like we're moving slowly, week by week, closer and closer to Drew McIntyre being a heel. Jay's integrating himself more heavily as a babyface that can be trusted. Cody Rhodes is coming out at the end of the show just to get a pop.
Real.
Good bit of business in the main event,
Yeah, I thought so. I thought the match was good too. Here's the thing. I just think this is well booked because it's like, you have to position Drew McIntyre as the main event act, right? And so to kind of get the audience used to that again, you have to have him actually closing the TVs. You gave a taste of it with him and Xavier Woods the week before, but now it's like he closes the show in a good heated main event match. He wins the match. These are singles reps for Drew, where he's just almost re-ingratiating himself within the conscience of the audience as an act that should be seen in that way. Because I think we could both agree, Monty, when he first came back, he kind of settled into a role much lower than you would have thought he'd be at, and it was almost like shocking how where he was in the totem pole of the TV show, because it was like he was nowhere near where like Cody, KO, and Sammy were on the pecking order, and I almost didn't even like have a problem with it, and that's bad. If I watch Drew McIntyre as a mid carder and I'm not like, oh, this is not good, then that's a problem. So yeah, they're repositioning him where he needs to be in time for the big turn, right? So it was good from that standpoint. It was also good from the standpoint that Drew McIntyre made what the decision he made to not save Jey Uso was not crowd friendly at all. The fans are going to boo him not saving Jey because they love Jey, right? But his own internal logic for why he did so is very justified. He can't find it in himself to get past what Jey did to him last year, and that's fine. Sometimes people can't. Sometimes people don't have the capacity for forgiveness, right? And it is what it is. Some people don't have the capacity for forgiveness. And Drew McIntyre is incapable of forgiving Jey Uso for being an absolute bitch to him last year. And so he's like, fuck him. I'm not going to save him. But you know who is the guy who's able to be compassionate and forgiving, the ultimate good, the pure white meat guy? Cody Rhodes. He walks out there like a shining beam of light, running right past Drew McIntyre. And you get almost the Greek morality play, because it's like, this guy who's falling into the darkness, and even though it's justified in its head, it's not what you want out of the human condition. You know, you want to forgive, you want to spread love and save. And Cody Rhodes is the light running right past the darkness of Drew McIntyre to save these guys. And yeah, it's classic storytelling. It's Greek mythology. It's TV. You know, it's all these things at the same time. You know, I'm watching this at the end of it, and I'm like, this is very well crafted. This is lovely. This is it's art. You know, so good angle at the end there. It kind of bookended and came put together. Like, I thought the show was just kind of okay for a lot of the body of the show. Very standard Raw stuff. You know. Then I watched the ending there, and I was like, all right, you know, we are taking the big pieces in a certain direction. And I already called that Cody and Drew were going to come to a head in the collision course like weeks ago. But now we're like, it's starting to materialize. And it's nice to see the pieces materialize. So good plotting from that standpoint. Great closing angle. And I'm just happy to see where it goes next. You know, Drew McIntyre is a great performer. I think he's doing a really good job in this middle phase where he's conflicted, but also, you know, angry and just internally fighting all these, you know, these different feelings that he has to be confronted with. So good stuff.
Yeah, man, and a couple notes. Matt Riddle was originally scheduled for this week's Raw, according to PW Insider, and then it was revealed at around just after 4 p.m. Eastern. It was reported by PW Insider that Riddle still hadn't shown up backstage at Raw. I believe the call time's around 2-3 p.m., so it was already an hour late at that point. Mm-hmm. And as Raw was, I think it was in the first hour of Raw, Sean Rossap tweeted that, Riddle's not going to be on Raw tonight. So I don't know what happened there. Don't know if he's okay. Don't know if he's not okay. But all I do know is that he was not reportedly at Raw as he was reportedly meant to be last night. So hopefully it's nothing serious. But yeah, Riddle wasn't around last night. And there was a few changes as well. You've already mentioned one, but the 2 out of 3 Falls tag match, New Day versus Viking Raiders, that was then changed to Kofi Kingston versus Ivar.
That was a medical based change, yes.
Mm-hmm. There was Natalya versus Xia Li was set for the main event tapings, and Tegan Nox was going to be the open challenger for Becky Lynch, but evidently that was all swapped around. Tegan Nox versus Xia Li was on main event, and Natalya ended up being Becky Lynch's surprise challenger. Mm-hmm. And I think that's about it. I think that they took some time off the Dominic Mysterio Cody Rhodes match as well.
Yes, they took time off that one, and then Nakamura versus Ricochet. They moved that later into the show, with the thinking being, since the Kofi thing has been changed to like a singles match, let's get some star power deeper into the night. And so they moved Ricochet Nakamura later, with the idea being Seth Rollins is going to make his appearance later in the show. People will anticipate that and therefore hang on with the show. So yeah, on a fundamental level, like the show wasn't like detonated or anything, but like some things were reordered and changed a little bit and kind of tweaked up within the last few hours before going live. And the biggest thing, obviously, is the Tegan Knox thing. Tegan Knox was someone Becky Lynch wanted to work with, and that was changed to Natalya.
Mm-hmm. And yes, that was Raw. That was Raw. Okay, let's move on to some other things now.
Yes.
WWE in Australia at the Optus Stadium, over 60,000 people seat stadium. Apparently, according to PW Insider, that's meant to be released. That's meant to be getting announced today. I don't know if they've already announced it whilst we've been on air, but normally these things have been announced by this time, so I don't know if it's still to come today or if it's coming at some other time this week, but it's been reported at multiple places that that Australia Stadium event is being announced this week. Obviously, PW Insider were very specific in saying that it was expected to be announced today. So maybe, but yeah, another big show in Australia. I pointed out on my Twitter page at the last time WWE done a stadium show in Australia. Buddy Matthews won a title in front of 70,000 people, and The Undertaker, who was 53, versus Triple H, who was 49 at the time, went 27 minutes. So hopefully we don't get that again. I don't think that's possible, but you know, probably have to. You've got an opportunity to main event with Rhea Ripley on this, don't you, Ivar?
Oh, absolutely. I think,
Rhea versus Becky.
man, that needs to main event one of these shows, whether it's Survivor Series, this Australia event.
Oh, you do the Australia show, definitely, bro.
Becky
If
versus
that's the two options, like Survivor Series or the Australia show for a Rhea Ripley main event, like you'd do the
right.
Australia show, wouldn't you? You know.
Mm. Yeah, no, I agree. I want to see that match sooner rather than later, but I don't I can live with it. There's been WWE still doesn't know what the show's going to be like. The internal chatter is that it's elimination chamber, and that's great. Monty, could you imagine that Rumble, elimination chamber, and Mania, 3 shows in a row or stadiums? Like that's fucking crazy.
No,
That's a
of
lot of
course.
huge.
It's
That's a
this
lot.
the best brand power though, bro. Like you can
This
go
is
to these different parts of
crazy.
the world and just be like, well, we'll put 70,000 in this side of the world, and then we'll do it back
Fucking
at
nuts.
home, and then we'll do Europe. It's just you can
That's
do these
fucking
things.
insane to me. It's just a lot of big gates.
Lot.
Let's say hypothetically, it's like they get 50K at the Rumble, then they do like 60K in Australia, then they do like fucking 65 in Philly. That's crazy. Like back to back to back.
Yeah, of course they're doing really really strong crazy numbers at the moment. So Friday in Denver, look, I know they had fucking John Cena announced. Of course, he's always going to move tickets. The Rock wasn't announced, so that wasn't a ticket selling draw. Um, but they've done well over 12,000 people in Denver, Colorado. Last night they've done like 9,000, just over 9,000, I think. And obviously you've got no John Cena, you got no Rock, no nothing. That's just
No,
them selling 9,000 for Raw,
it's
you know.
it's just a
And
run of the mill
then
TV. Yeah.
then I think this Friday in SmackDown's in like Greensville, Arizona, or some shit, you know. I mean, they've done like 12, 13,000 people, bro. In these,
Oh my god.
do you know what I mean? Like, it's
Oh
not.
my
This
god.
isn't New York, Chicago, Texas, and
Big
these sort of
market
cities.
for
Yeah,
a big
like
pay per view.
they're doing like, obviously I'm from the old UK, England, so I don't know too much about the markets and stuff, but they're just killing it, bro. They're just killing it at the moment, attendance wise, ticket selling wise, and
Yeah.
Arizona, Denver, well,
And
selling out
I
12,000 tickets. It sounds
I
pretty
subscribe to
crazy
the
to me.
Dave Meltzer line of thinking, which is that tickets tell like the biggest story a lot of the time. And sometimes when it comes to trends, tickets will indicate where things are headed earlier than like a TV rating, for example, because that sometimes has more variables than like a tickets. But like if like it's like when before WWE got hot, I don't know if you remember this, Monty, post Mania in Dallas last in 2022, following Cody Rhodes' return, there was a slight uptick in business. And then the Vince allegation stuff rose business again. And then Triple H took over and then rose business again. It was like in sets of 3 waves, because before that we were in the regular kind of routine of like, barely scraping 6,000 people at TV. and some weeks less than 6,000. And then it kind of got up a little bit. Then it got up a little bit again, got up a little bit. And now we're at where we're at now, where it's like, God, they're selling out basketball arenas like multiple times a month. So yeah, their business is still hot. It's still hot. People are still engaged with what they got going on. And Australia is going to be a big stadium show in March, I believe it is. And looks to be Elimination Chamber. And we'll see what happens. I could see Rhea beating 5 of the women to close the show in an Elimination Chamber match. I could see that too.
Elsewhere we got WWE is apparently reportedly, according to Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio, WWE is working on main roster creative for Jade Cargill. So man, apparently it's a high priority as well, Ibu, which I guess if she is going to debut soon and we're already working on creative for her, of course it's high priority, isn't it?
Remember what I said yesterday on Worldwide, which was hours after Observer, like way after, where I basically said that I asked someone in creative about this Jade Cargill situation, and I was just kind of like, have you guys been tasked with writing stuff for Jade? And the answer was just flat out yes. And now Dave has gotten his update, and it's like, yeah, it's a big priority. Doesn't surprise me. It is increasingly looking like she's going to go straight to the main roster, which is, I respect it. You want to make a big splash here. Now the question is, when do you do the debut? And
seems imminent.
Yeah, very imminent. Again, people in AEW were like, they thought it was a possibility that she was going to show up on that SmackDown. Jade was never going to do that because she just does business the right way, and she wasn't going to undermine Rampage by doing that, even if she was free to legally. But yeah, this is going to be an imminent debut. I'd imagine it's happening sooner rather than later. And I'm getting this feeling that she's going to stand off against Bianca Belair or something on a TV. Or maybe, you know what? Didn't she get, holy shit. What if they do Bianca, Charlotte, and, never mind. I forgot Dakota Kai's injured. I was going to say they could do Bianca, Charlotte, and Jade versus Damage Control, but they can't do that because...
what would Bianca, Charlotte, and Jade be together?
Because Charlotte and Bianca have tagged a lot on TV, and Bianca got written off by Damage Control when she got Pillmanized.
Bianca's away, that's the whole point.
Well, yeah, she got her knee got Pillmanized or whatever.
And so but she's actually away. She's actually taking time off. She's not.
Yes.
So who knows?
Nobody could give me an answer on when she was coming back too. I don't know what's going on with that.
I think it's just a thing that she's just taking time off, bro.
I read that quote. I was like, this motherfucker Montez, man. I thought he got to it, man. You know what I mean? I was like, don't do this to me, Montez, please. Don't do this to me.
We'll see how that plays out. There's another thing I wanted to talk about. Yeah, that's it. CM Punk again, of course, being mentioned on a Wrestle Purist channel. But this time, it is a report from Nick Hausman, who reports that CM Punk has no plans pending to take any sort of legal action against Tony Khan and AEW. He wants to move on with his life and move past this. I know a couple of people are kind of questioning it, whether he'll try and sue. People like to think that CM Punk is very willing to pull the trigger on suing someone. But yeah,
it's considered by many as the most litigious man in wrestling.
Well, we have it. Not this time, though.
No.
Yeah, not this time. But yeah, it's not really surprising, is it, Ivar? It's not really a surprise. He was fired with cause. Apparently, there was footage of the fight that led to his firing. There's an independent investigation, etc., etc. So, it would have been something if he did pull that trigger.
A lot of people immediately interpreted this as it's because Phil has zero case to win or to even fight for here, and just took the L. And that's a totally sound thing to parse from this news. Totally. People in Punk camp, they will stress to you that Punk doesn't agree with some of the verbiage used in reporting and with the public statements as to why he was fired, but that even with that being the case, him opting to not sue is because of just him opting not to sue is because he just doesn't want to go through the legal process again, because he's done it before, and it's very arduous and exhausting and time consuming and it's a lot of resources to use and money to spend, and that he just doesn't want to do it. So if you ask them and you talk to them, they'll basically frame it as, we just don't want to go through that whole process. We'd rather just kind of move on, rather than like, oh, we have no case. Like they frame it almost as like, there's aspects that I could look into to maybe fight this, but I just don't want to. What's the point? And that's just their side. But yeah, again, that's just their side. So, AEW felt like it had enough to fire him with cause, and
they did,
and they did. And so they're gonna. That's where it's gonna be left at. Punk is not gonna sue, and he's gonna leave it alone. And as a wrestling fan, cool. We don't have to. We don't have to hear about like just an annoying distraction on the side happening as a result of the situation that I'm sure that everybody wants to move on from.
Yeah. Okay. WWE Tryouts, a lot of performance center tryouts, a lot of people reporting to the performance center to get a tryout, basically. Quite a decent sized list, courtesy of bodyslam.net for most of them. Fightful Select have chipped in a few as well, and PW Insider have chipped in one or two as well. So I'm just going to read through the list, and I guess we'll circle one or two names just for the sake of conversation here. But yeah, let's get to it. Richard Holiday, Maddie Rinkowski, Jasmine Allure, Copeland Barbie, David Goldie, Jay Malachi, Brogan Finley, Jamie Stanley, Ray Jazz, Damaris Largo, Hollywood Haley J, Kelsey Heather, Valentina Rossi, J Rod. What one are you putting a circle around, Ibu, if any at all?
Braun Breaker.
Braun Breaker. Honestly, Richard Holiday, keep an eye on him, people. Keep an eye on Richard Holiday. He's good, man. He's a good wrestler. He can work. He can talk. He's got a good look. He can do the job, man. He can do the business. Would not be surprised if WWE do pick him up on as a result of these tryouts. I've seen a lot of people. I haven't seen anything of him. Literally, I've never seen him wrestle. But just from like the Wrestle Purist mentions and just tweets I've seen about it, a lot of people are very excited about Jay Malachi. Who else have we got? Maddie Rinkowski. A few of these people have been on AEW Dark. Jasmine Allure, Maddie Rinkowski, Jay Malachi, I believe, has been on Dark. And a few more. There's some people from NWA, MLW. But I'd say like the main one that needs circling would be Richard Holiday. He's got a decent amount of experience. Those of you who have watched MLW in yesteryears, he was in a faction with MJF and Alexander Hammerstone called the Dynasty, which was doing some good stuff for MLW. And ever since MJF has left MLW, he's kind of gone on a he's gone on his own path. He's been feuding with Alexander Hammerstone, so like they had like a world title match. Holiday actually, like, he didn't know yet. He's just beat cancer as well. Like, that's like a big, but he's in remission. That's like one of the big things around him that people will be able to refer to from this show with Holiday, because of course that's a huge deal. It's great that he was able to get into remission again. But before he even knew he had cancer, he had a world title match against Alexander Hammerstone for the MLW world title. Wrestled the whole match, pretty good match. Both worked hard and everything. And he had no idea he had cancer. He just felt he was feeling weak. He was feeling this. He was feeling that, and was just powering through it. And then a few weeks later, he got diagnosed, and it was like, holy shit! I wrestled a world title match without knowing I had cancer. So, but yeah, say all that to say that Richard Holiday, good wrestler, well-rounded wrestler. Would not be surprised if WWE actually pick him up. Yeah. Quite an interesting list of names, Ibu. There wasn't really the huge indie wrestler of the year stars on there, was there?
do those people even exist in 2023? You
That
know,
definitely did get asked quite a lot by some of the names.
because it's like even if you did put like the biggest names of the indie scene, I think the list would still be underwhelming. To be honest with you, if from a standpoint of
It's a different time, but like there's
yeah,
there's there's more options for people with contracts and that. It's like it's not just WWE and Impact now. It's WWE, Impact, AEW. You know, even down to like MLW. Like Richard Holiday has only just left MLW. That's why he's available, I guess. You know, otherwise you'd see like Jacob Fatu and Alexander Hammerstone and people like that on these lists as well. But
that's the thing.
yeah,
There's just if you're like looking for available wrestlers in their 20s that have a good size, good look, can go in the ring, and already have a nice fundamental base that you can mold, the pickings are slim, to be completely frank with you, from the North American side. It's why when William Regal came in, one of his initiatives was like, let's continue to do the NIL thing domestically. But when it comes to talent recruitment outside of that, let's kind of like not worry too much about that unless it's like a super high end some person from internationally, and that's why he was very pro signing Dragon Lee, and it's why he wanted Jay White. He badly wanted Jay White, and it's why he had his eyes on like other people. People that I'll give you some names that floated around at the beginning of the year. That's just names that they just like and would like to have. Just to give you guys a feel for like the type of people. Hiromu Takahashi's name was thrown out there. Um,
very ambitious names, definitely.
right, Kaito Kiyomiya, and they're ambitious for a reason because the idea was basically like these are the caliber of people that we should reach out for because if it's not this caliber of people, what do we really hope for them to do and accomplish within our company? And as harsh as that is in some respects, I kind of get it because it's like you got what you're going. You have a pretty good thing going right now with NXT, right? And it's like, do you really want to be like, I don't know, man. You find some skinny indie jabroni who's 22, right? And you throw him in that system, and it's like, all right, well, hopefully he can kind of catch up to what these guys got going on, and then maybe he can get over. And it's like, do you want to wait for that to happen? I don't know. I don't know. This list of names just didn't blow me away in any way, and to be completely honest with you, I don't think many of them are going to make it through this tryout, knowing what WWE is looking for. And again, in the Triple H regime, they're more open to different styles of wrestlers and types of people and body types. But even with that said, it's still WWE, and there's still a certain skill set and that you need to succeed there. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see who actually gets picked up.
It'll be Richard Holiday and one of the women.
Just one.
I I think they're walking away with like 2 to 3 men and like a couple of the girls.
I think
Maddie Renkowski gets scooped up.
Yeah, I think Maddie, Jasmine, and Richard Holiday all get picked up.
Yes.
Who else is there on that list? If that Jay Malachi is as hype as what people have been telling me, he should get picked up. He's only 19.
They might be into the whole 19-year-old thing. They might also it's so hard with them. Sometimes they're like, that's kind of a
PC though, bro. That's the point, isn't it?
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Like you take a prodigy and you turn him into a WWE superstar. Do you know? So
they'll look at him, right, and they'll be like, hit the weights for 2 years in a PC. You're not gonna see the light of day on television. That's what they used to do with someone like that. We'll see what they do now. So.
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, let's what else have we got to talk about, Ibu? Well, it's just came out.
Yes.
It's just came out that HBO Max is adding a live sports tier to their service, which will be branded as Bleacher Report. It will be an additional $10 and will be at no extra charge for Max subs through the February 2024 promo period. Sports Business Journal says AEW will not be a part of this as of now. It seems like that's going to be the home for AEW.
Yeah.
As of now, holds a lot of weight in that tweet by Sean Ross Sapp. But yeah, man, Max AEW always seemed like the plan. It was, especially it always seemed like the plan anyway. But when Dave Meltzer said in the Observer News, like 2-3 weeks ago, that All In was going to be on Max, but they just couldn't get stuff organized in time. That's as good as a done deal to me, you know. Like they'll just do it on the next one. So
Absolutely.
AEW on Max, we've already spoke about this over the past week. It's good
It's
thing.
looking
It's
like
good.
26 a month with this additional package, and it's up to you if you think $26 a month for an AEW pay per view and some movies and a rotating schedule is a fair deal.
Where do you get 26 from?
I believe it's God, I gotta open the thing back up. People did the calculations on how much the live sports add-on is gonna add, like in terms of pricing. I believe it's
It says $10.
it's a $10 add-on to the existing price of Max, I believe. Something
You just said $26 extra. So is it $26 as a whole, or is it
as a whole,
$10?
as a
You're
whole.
confusing the people, Ivo.
Sorry. You're paying if you want to watch AEW on Max eventually, you're gonna be paying $26 a month, it appears.
When if you're already with HBO Max, it's a $10 extra bonus, and you'll get all the sports stuff as well. That's if it does get added to the sports tier, which we are pretty confident it will. That isn't from sources or report or anything, but just kind of going with our gut, you know. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if HBO is the new home of AEW pay-per-views at the very least. And according to it's like an Italian reliable people. It's like an Italian sports page called Diarios. I believe it's Italian anyway. They report all kinds of football news and stuff, especially when transfer windows open. But they have just reported that WWE is working on getting Cristiano Ronaldo appearance present at WWE Crown Jewel in November in Saudi Arabia. There's been some talk about that the past couple of days anyway, because I think Boozer or Zero, one of those guys on Twitter, mentioned it like months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then Lucha Libre Online done like a news roundup yesterday, and the title was like WWE trying to get Ronaldo. So you know, he got quite a lot of traction. But it ended up just being an aggregation of those old reports I just mentioned. But now it has been reported by a 3.2 million followers, etc., etc. It's been reported by them. So Ronaldo, it does not. Until I started seeing the rumors yesterday, I didn't realize like how possible that is. Ronaldo plays in Saudi now, and WWE loves to get the celebrities involved and stuff. And Ronaldo is genuinely one of the most famous people on the face of the planet. So it doesn't surprise me that WWE are going to try and make something like this happen. It won't surprise me if they try to get Messi one day. Just in the crowd looking cool or some shit. But yeah, Ronaldo, probably it would not surprise me at all if we get to see Cristiano Ronaldo at least present in some way at this WWE Saudi show in November. So yeah, man, I think that's basically all the news and stuff. And we've got NXT tonight. Off the top of my head, I know we've got Dominic Mysterio versus Carmelo Hayes.
Tyler Bate will be
Becky Lynch going to
facing.
be in action. Tyler Bate versus Pete Dunne. I think he was about to mention.
Yes.
More Heritage Cup, and we'll see what's going on. We'll see what's going on over there. They've been on a roll lately. NXT have loads of momentum as far as NXT goes. Anyway, it's not exactly like they're not selling like 10,000 seat arenas or anything, but in terms of like online and stuff like that, they've picked up a lot of good faith and a lot of momentum recently by putting on pretty solid shows with sprinkled in good wrestling matches. Like last week, there was like 3 decent to good wrestling matches on the show.
Yep.
So hopefully they can keep that streak up, and we can keep enjoying these shows, because I enjoy my little Tuesday night NXT, but
Yeah, it's improved and become a viable, decent show in its own right. And this week tonight's show looks like it's gonna continue the trend, and so hopefully it does. Well, part of me almost thinks that they should kind of get a little cocky and like run TV out of the PC. I feel like they should, Monty. I honestly think they should run venues that like house up to like 2K and shoot for trying to sell 1,000 tickets a week. I think they should honestly go for it. Why not? Like, just the venues that AEW ran at the very beginning of their existence, the venues that Ring of Honor ran in the 2010s, go to those types of places. Sell 900 seats, sell
Well,
1,200 seats.
that should be the target and ambition.
Yeah.
I made the point yesterday when we was talking about Cargill. Like, if obviously we found out now that it looks like she's going to be getting a main roster immediate push, and there's creative being worked on there. But if she was to go to NXT, I was like, well, she can work at the PC, and she hasn't got to travel all over the country to do Raw and SmackDown shows. And that is a big advantage of being an NXT superstar who's green and he's still learning how to wrestle, etc., etc. But there's that puts limitations on what you can do, doesn't it? So obviously, I think that the long term goal for NXT should be a touring show.
Even
But
if it's limited and not nearly at the scope of the main roster, just touring of some kind, I think it's possible. It's doable.
do small venues and shit. Make it cool. Make it have like a real cool vibe to it, bro.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see how NXT is tonight. We've got a couple super chats. Appreciate you guys. We're gonna quick fire through them. Jacob Donnelly.
If you'd like to fire off some more, get them in now. This is the last chance to get those in.
Yes, Jacob Donnelly, $5. Appreciate you very much. I almost forgot Nia Jax was back and groaned when I saw her. What a waste of a re-signing. I think that's very harsh to say at this point in time. She just came in. She done a good beatdown last week, bro. That was a good beatdown. Then this week she was shown in kind of like clips and stuff like that, and then she done the beatdown with the tag teams. I forgot to mention that when we was doing the Raw review, but yeah, she done the big beatdown with the tag teams and cleared house again. And from the little things we've seen of Nia Jax so far, she's done good in these beatdowns, But I think it's a bit too early to call it a waste of a re-signing. But I understand that people weren't exactly fired up or waiting for Nia Jax to return to WWE. Like, I get that, like I'm not being blind with that.
Dismissive.
Yeah, it's just no, like I get it, but at the same time, I think at least let us stink it up before coming for her this time around, And so far, she's done very little, but pretty decent beatdown so far. We'll have to just wait and see what they do with her and if she can reach the level that she's supposed to on TV. So I don't know. Masson84. Forget punk tape. Riddle tape with TSA sounds wild. Riddle's like I said, I don't know where he was last night. Hope he's okay, but yeah, it's very dicey at the minute.
Listen, Monday morning they expected him to be at TV.
Yeah, of course. Like I said, as PW Insider reported as well, like he was expected to be at Raw last night and he wasn't. So again, I hope he's okay, but very questionable. Will Chisholm, $5. Appreciate you very much. Do Becky got heat with Vince for changing her match? Does Becky have heat with Vince for changing her match? I think that's supposed to say.
Becky generally laughs when these things happen.
Yeah, apparently she was the one who picked out Tegan Knox for the Open Challenge, but obviously it got changed and she got to wrestle Natalia for a little bit. I think if the match was always going to take up that amount of time, like if that segment was always going to take up the amount of time it did, Tegan Knox wrestling Becky Lynch for like 4 minutes would have been worthless.
Nothing.
Like, it would have been worthless. Like Tegan would have got nothing out of it, and Becky would have got nothing out of it. But if they were going to go like 10 minutes and Tegan could do it, but like at the same time, it's like, why should Tegan be going 10 minutes with Becky Lynch? Do you know what I mean?
On national TV, it's
tough.
In that sense.
It's tough.
I will say that the way things go nowadays, usually when Vince or whoever, because actually I have no confirmation as to who scrapped that match specifically. I'd like to guess it was Vince. Nobody's been able to directly confirm that either to me or to Ross Sapp or Dave Meltzer. But the point is, usually when things like that get scrapped in the Hunter regime, he tries to fit that thing he wanted to do on an upcoming TV anyway. I don't know if you've noticed this, Monty. Things will get taken off of TV, and he'll slip it in somewhere in an upcoming TV. So you'll, for the Tegan Knox fans, you'll get that 4-minute Becky Lynch Tegan Knox match eventually. So you can look forward to that, I guess.
Sad Roddy Strong $5. Funny how the state of the Usos is. Jay's still somewhat interested. Meanwhile, Jimmy is borderline get off my TV territory. Jay's
Absolutely.
more than somewhat interesting at the minute.
He's
He's like the main story thread of Raw at the moment. And
he's like literally like getting the wheels turning on like a bunch of the top things happening on the Monday show. You know,
but yeah, Jimmy on the other end, it's tough, brother. It's
that
tough.
shit sucks.
The people just do not see him as like a singles upper card heel. They just don't, you know. So them
I don't
just
think
kind of
he.
forcing him in that spot. It's just like the crowd are just kind of rejecting it, you know.
You know what's the crazy part about him, Monty? Even though he's twin brothers with Jay, I feel like he's like he's playing like heel wrestler right now. You know, whereas like Jay's just being real. He's being Jay. You know, I believe Jay Uso when I see Jay Uso, and Jimmy Uso right now. I don't think he believes him.
Well, Chisholm $5, appreciate it. Do they know Jay's going to be on Raw or SmackDown? Haven't asked.
I haven't asked either. I don't know.
And we got one last super
I get
chat.
this weird feeling it's going to be SmackDown, but
Don Tasmo, $1.99. Appreciate you. New super chatter, I think. Appreciate you for tapping in. TK should raid Sukeban and get the Joshi for a tag. Well, there's definitely from a quick glance that I took of it like last week or something that this new New York Joshi promotion that's starting. I think they're starting the first event this weekend or next weekend. It's very soon.
I hope it
That
succeeds.
they've got a really strong roster considering it's a new promotion. You know, so yeah, TK may have a look at it, but we've said this many times on podcasts. I know, like I said, I know you're probably maybe a new listener, first time super chat. Maybe I'm wrong, but we spoke about Tony and the Joshis many times, and he's had more than enough opportunities to kind of show that that's what he's into, you know, and he hasn't done it. There's been countless times where there's been like Joshi wrestlers over in the US and he hasn't used them for anything, or he hasn't used them in a very heavily featured spot. And obviously, just in general, bro, like when you own a company, you know, you own like $100 million company like AEW. So if you want to work with Stardom, I'm sure they'd work with you if you just work towards their work around their schedule and stuff. But you know, like I said, it's a very long-winded way of saying that if Tony wanted to work with Joshi's the way that a lot of Joshi and women's wrestling fans call for him to, he probably would have done it by now. I just don't think he honestly has that much interest in doing it, unfortunately, which is, you know, a bummer. So kind of you get what you get. What else have we got? PW Insider, just obviously, I think a lot of people seen this anyway. PW Insider reported that Rhea Ripley's you know, her injuries that Michael Cole said she had is obviously at work, and she was spotted at an Australian Football League game yesterday, and there's a clip of that going around on the internet. Her and Buddy Matthews caught slipping at the game. God bless.
I saw that. That was I was howling. Someone sent that to me out of context, and I was like, "Is she at a football game? Like an American football game?" I was like, "What the fuck is this?" But yeah, that was kayfabe. I didn't realize I was muted. I was saying about the Tony thing. Look, he just doesn't see the big upside in dabbling in these types of relationships unless he can get someone signed on to a long-term deal that he believes in. And so this idea of kind of maybe like doing a partnership with Sukeban, I don't really see Tony seeing anything in that unless he maybe wanted to flesh out Ring of Honor or something and wanted to do something from that standpoint. But Ring of Honor is just AEW Dark right now. Like it's functioning as Dark. And he has the women that he believes in and he wants to push. And, you know, his targets to add to that from that standpoint that he thinks are like serious, impactful names are Mariah May and Mercedes Moné. So I don't think he's looking in the direction of a Sukeban.
There you have it, folks. Yeah, we're going to get out of here. We're going to get out of here now. Appreciate everybody who stuck with us and watched, especially from start to finish. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And of course, please like the video on the way out. It helps. It goes a long way without you realising. And it only takes you a couple seconds, so hit that like button, please. Also, hit the post notifications so you know when we're going live, especially now that we do these kind of like afternoon shows that me and Ibu and sometimes me and Joe do. Sometimes we might stream at a random time or something. So hit that post notification bell. Anything else? Like I said, like the video. Tomorrow we'll be doing the AEW Dynamite watch along in the evening, but in the daytime, me and Ibu will be back again. We're going to talk NXT and we'll talk some news very similar to this. And
I probably won't be able to do tomorrow.
Well, there you have it, folks. Maybe not tomorrow. But
Man, I'm probably not tomorrow.
you know how it goes, though, people. Keep an eye on the Wrestle Purist page, and you'll be up to date with everything you need to know if you want to watch our Graps content. But yeah, again, like, subscribe, appreciate all the super chats. As always. And we're gonna get out of here. Hope everyone has a good day, and peace.